Remember when you actually owned your music? No ads, no subscription, no algorithm deciding what you should see or listen to. Just your library always with you, no matter what. It's easy to get distracted these days. That's why in 2025, I'm still using my old iPodClassic. And I'm not alone. There's an entire community dedicated to keeping these little time machines alive, modding, upgrading, and even reinventing them for the modern age. So today we're going deep into why iPod is making quiet comeback, how you can bring yours into the future, and why this might just be one of the best ways to take back control of your music. To understand why, let's first figure out why did the iPod die in the first place? Well, that's easy, right? And I'm sure you already know the answer.
We love music, and it's always good to do something you love. Music's been around forever. It will always be around. This is not a speculative market. To have your whole music library with you at all times is a quantum leap in listening to music. And we are introducing a product today that takes us exactly there, and that product is called iPod. There it is, right there. It goes right in my pocket.
Generations later, multiple models, colors, and iterations, Apple killed the iPodClassic in 2014 and the iPod as a category in 2022, officially ending an era. Streaming services took over, people moved to smartphones, and for most, that was the end of it. But for those of us who actually care about music, not just a background noise but as something personal, the iPod still does things that no subscription can provide. Oh, and that click wheel though, so satisfying. Just like vinyl, cassettes, and CDs, the iPod has its own lasting advantages. Here are some reasons why I and thousands of others still swear by the iPod in 2025. First, obviously, no subscriptions, no ads, your music, your way. Second, the best shuffle mode. If you try it, you're gonna love it. 3, no need for the grid. When the power is out or Wi-Fi, your iPod still works without interruptions. 4, it's a dedicated music device. No distractions, no messages, no doom scrolling. Okay, maybe just a little bit. 5, insane battery life. More than 55 hours of non-stop playback time. Or more. That's just crazy these days. 6, massive storage. With mods, you can have terabytes of lossless music in your pocket, just like it was intended originally. During blackouts in Kyiv, my iPod was a game changer. No charging anxiety, no dead phone, just music. Something stable when everything else wasn't. The modding community is constantly coming up with ways to modernize these devices, such as storage upgrades. As cool as it looks, but you should definitely consider swapping out the old spinning hard drive for an SSD, SD, or CF card. You're gonna get faster speeds, more reliable, more capacity, brighter screens and bigger batteries, sharper visuals, and even longer playback times without charging. Custom designs, new front and back plates, click wheels, and even transparent cases. The possibilities are immense. Keep or ditch the old 30-pin for modern reversible port. Add a kick to click wheel with Taptic Engine. Bluetooth and Rockbox firmware. Wireless freedom with full customization control. The choice is yours. And a lot more. Shout out to iPod community and all of the enthusiasts. You guys are making this thing possible. You don't have to be completely stuck in the past. There are different ways to sync your iPod with modern devices. Syncing with Android and iPhone is possible, but you have to use the custom firmware for that. If you want to use Apple Music or iTunes, you're probably only gonna need a PC. If you're a Synology user, you can benefit from a two-way backup. As soon as your iPod is connected, it can update and back up all the library that you have on it. Streaming and offline blending. If you can't ditch the streaming completely, for example, you have a family plan subscription or else, you may use it as an opportunity to preview, or as I call, scout the music before it goes to the iPod. This way, you're not gonna clutter your storage and only the best stuff is gonna go there. Pro tip: if you feel nostalgic enough like I do sometimes, there's a way to get some high quality music for dirt cheap. You just have to visit your local flea market, estate sale, or Facebook Marketplace for that matter. And there you're gonna find some cheap CDs. It's gonna be a bit of a hustle to rip them, but this way you're gonna keep the music forever, and it's a pretty good quality too. I use my iPod for street photography, for example. No distractions, just music, city, and me in my zone. With open-style Bluetooth headphones, I stay aware of my surroundings, but I can also just plug in wired to never worry about battery life and enjoy higher quality. In a world where we are pushed to rent everything, our movies, our music, even our books, there is something empowering about owning your music again. An iPod lets you do it. The iPod isn't just nostalgia, it's a statement. It's a way to listen on your own terms. So whether you're picking one up for the first time or pulling an old one out of the drawer, just know you're not alone. The iPod community is still here, still growing, and still finding new ways to make these devices better than ever. If this video got you curious or helped you rediscover the iPod, hit the like button. And if you have a modded iPod or some cool story, share it down in the comments. And if you're new here, consider subscribing because we're not done yet. And I mean literally not done. That part was for the general public, but in this one, we're gonna geek out a little bit. This is for the real ones. And you know who you are if you stayed this long into this video. Here, I want to share my setup and my thought process behind it. It's nothing crazy, but it's still cool in my opinion. You don't have to do the same with yours, but you can also add to it or go completely off the rails. That's the beauty of modding. If some of this info is gonna be helpful, cool, enjoy it. And if you're a seasoned modder watching this, you can drop some knowledge down in the comments. I think it's going to be really helpful for somebody who's just starting out. So as I said, mine is nothing crazy. It's pretty much the latest motherboard with the latest firmware on it. And I think there's like two camps in the modding community. The people who like to mod the 5th gen or 5.5 gen as people call it, because that one has the better sound. It has the Wolfson deck on it. So I think there's those, and the people like me who wants the biggest possible library and they're not so picky about the deck. So for people like us, it makes sense to use the latest motherboard because this one has the most amount of RAM on it, and it will allow you to make enormous libraries, especially with the custom firmware. And speaking about custom firmware, why I decided to choose this one instead of Apple Music or iTunes, as it was originally called, is because for as long as I remember, I was never a Mac user and I never used any Apple products pretty much. So this was my first thing to use. And I got used to just drag and drop the files into the folder. And for me, not being able to do it, especially when I'm on the go or when I want to connect my phone and drop some music from there to here, was kind of a weird experience. You know, I wanted more flexibility, and with Mac OS or iPadOS, iOS, it was just not possible at that moment. You had to use the proprietary app, which was the iTunes at the time, and right now I think it's all in the Apple Music and Finder in Mac OS. And honestly, the custom firmware is the way to go, I think. You can customize pretty much anything. Like right here, you can see that I have the custom splash screen and a custom theme. And even when it turns off, it says bye-bye instead of shutting down, which is a nice personalized touch, I think. And also the library can be bigger. And the main benefit, one of the best ones, is that you can just drop FLAC files on it and not just MP3. I don't know, it's just like, to me, I like this more. And the flexibility, and also this one is still being maintained by some nice people, you know, who's still adding features, rewrite code. And, you know, even if you want to rewrite the code by yourself, you can definitely do it and, you know, deconstruct the firmware and then, you know, fix something or change something, which is up my valley. You know, it's more of a unusual approach for Apple device, I would say. As for the battery, I decided to go all in and I bought the biggest available battery. It says 3000 milliamp on it, which I think the actual capacity is a bit lower, but for that you will need to get the thick back because some of the iPods were thinner than this, like half of this, or maybe just a bit less than half of this thickness. But I don't mind it to be thicker if the battery is going to be much bigger. Same for the phones and everything. Like, I don't know what is this trend of making everything super slim. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't mind it to be a bit chunkier, but have more juice in it. And for the device like this, I think this is kind of crucial. Like, I don't want to charge another device every day or every night if I just listen to the music on it. So yeah, the big battery in here. I didn't put any crazy mods like I showed you in the first part of this video because I didn't want to go overboard with it. I can always edit later. So I'm basically just playing it safe. Like, I didn't add the Bluetooth because speaking about that, I have this Bluetooth module, which you probably have seen in the first part of the video. This was originally made for the Nintendo Switch. Mine is a bit rehoused. It was originally blue and red, but I found a broken black one and I took the, you know, housing from there to make it more sleek looking. And this one is pretty cool because it's not super big and clunky. It just, you know, clips on like this. And if I want to have a Bluetooth, I have this thing charges with USB Type-C. On the bottom, the battery lasts pretty long. Like, I never had the issue that it just died on me when I'm listening. So that's pretty cool. And when I don't want to use Bluetooth, I can just still plug in wired headphones up in here. And why this Bluetooth method instead of soldering the, you know, another Bluetooth board inside? First of all, I didn't want to change the case. I wanted to leave it metal. And as you know, the signals like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, they are getting pretty janky when they mount it in the metal housing. So for me, it's like I'm not losing the battery because the Bluetooth board's drawing some power. And one less component inside, it makes it more durable. So even if I drop it, I'm not going to be afraid that some solder just came off or some stuff like this. And originally, I was not even planning to use any Bluetooth stuff with it. But when I got my bone conduction headphones and I got used to those, I just added this later. And to me, this is like pretty low profile. It's pretty convenient. You can put it to the side like this. I can always change this and I don't have to open the case for that. Yeah, so these headphones, I mean, this is not an ad. I just like to use these. I think I've been using this type of headphones for, oh dude, like multiple years. I've been using them since they were called Aftershocks, not even Shocks like right now. These are called Open Run Pro 2. And I think these are better. They definitely sound better than the previous one because they added like the external speakers, not just the bone conduction. And I feel like the bone conduction became so light that I don't even feel it's working. So because I need to be aware of my surroundings, and these help me to achieve that. And at the same time, when I'm like exercising, running, or like doing something, whatever, I don't really feel like it's really comfortable when something is in your ears, especially if you're sweating a lot. So for me, these are the best choice. Yeah, they're also magnetic. For the case choice, I decided to go like a special edition U2 version. I mean, this is obviously fake, but I mean, it's the same color scheme, and mine is a bit more customized by hand. You can see that this rim is silver. I mean, originally it's just black. And also here you can see that the bottom is white instead of black. I had this white insert left from modding some other iPods, and it seems like it worked pretty well. This part became silver just because, and I mean here around the click wheel too, this part became silver because when I was recording this video, this thing just died in my pocket, you know, talking about reliability and stuff like that. I think it died because the battery just disconnected or something like that inside, because I was like shaking it and you know, dropping it for the video and stuff like that. So I had to open it, and as you may know, if you're a seasoned modder, these things are pretty difficult to open, especially the, you know, the latest, like the 6th gen and 7th gen. They're really difficult to open, they're really tight, and this casing was new, so it was super tight. I didn't plan to open it until it, you know, dies or like whatever, but I had to open it, so I got a bit of a scratch on here. It's tiny, but I got it. So I decided to just polish it silver, and I think, you know, this is me doing it, and I think this is not a bad solution instead of buying a completely new casing, which, I mean, they got pretty expensive these days for obvious reasons. I think it works just fine, and this way I don't have to change the casing just yet. And I was saying, I got this from the previous iPods I was modding. During the pandemic, this literally became my hobby to mod these for some friends and people who asked me to do it. And I was just doing it as a side gig, if you will. You know, modding, selling, learning a lot in the process. And it was, you know, pretty cool hobby to do it. So if you're up to that, you can research. There's plenty of information of how to do it. And if you need some advice, ask down in the comments. I'll try to answer it to the, you know, best of my ability, and maybe some seasoned modder in the comments is also going to help you. And definitely check out the Reddit community. That thing is just, you know, a big chest of information. You can definitely find many answers to your questions. As for the case is, I got lucky finding this one. I think I got it with some secondhand iPod I bought from someone, and this one is made by Griffin, and it's like covered in this PU leather, or yeah, I think it's PU leather, and you know, there's even some stitching on the side. It looks pretty cool. There are cutouts for the hold button, headphone jack, and on the bottom it's like completely cut out, and then you can just open this up, drop your iPod in, close it up. It also protects the screen. Mine is a bit beat up already, but this way, if for example you just finished modding your iPod, you can drop it in the case and don't have to worry about it scratching or like whatever, you know, if you want to preserve it longer. And this thing I added in here, this is actually from my photography. This is like what is it called, like a spider holster or something like this. It's just to be able to put it either on the backpack or on your shorts when you're working out, or you don't have pockets, for example. You can just, you know, drop it in and click it, and this way it's just gonna be here, you know, it's not going anywhere. At some point I also had the MagSafe ring on it, was also pretty useful. I even seen some guys are modifying their iPods and putting the MagSafe on the plastic back and stuff like that, which is also pretty sick. Like, you guys are crazy. Maybe have some other accessories that you saw in the video. If you want to know some specific stuff about the stuff you saw, just write in the comments. I'm gonna try to answer, and if there's a link to give to something, I'll give you a link. Why I decided to keep the 30-pin connector and why I didn't get the Type-C, because this is so convenient, obviously. Like, why would you even, you know, use something this old, like this connector is like so crazy. My main point was I didn't want to miss out on all of the legacy accessories for these things. And I mean, there's so many of them. And for me, it's, you know, it's worth it to not have the Type-C in here because, I mean, this battery is crazy already. Like, I don't even have to charge it. Like, I maybe charge it once a month. I have a bunch of these cables left, and I have this like crazy adapter here, if you can see. It's a, you know, USB-A to USB Type-C. It just like goes in like that. For me, it's not a big deal to have a 30 pin instead of Type-C. And this way I can still use my Bluetooth speaker. I can still use the dock to put it on a table. Could be connected directly to my audio system and stuff like that. So that's my main motivation why I didn't go with the Type-C. But maybe in the future, it's not that difficult to do right now. When I was doing this, that thing was just, you know, basically just starting out. But right now you can buy pre-built cases with that stuff. So maybe in the future I'll change my mind. So the way I sync this thing, I pretty much sync it either with my phone. Originally it was with the Android phone, it was a lot easier, but with the iPhone is a bit of a game. If I find some music online, I can always just download it with my phone. I don't have to have a computer with me. This thing is gonna appear like a disc if you put in the disc mode, which, I mean, I'm sure you guys know all of this, but you know, you just hold the center button, like a select button and the play button long enough, and you go into the disc mode. So I put in the disc mode like this, connect it to my phone, and it pretty much sees it as an external hard drive. And then I can just drag and drop my music into the folder, and it's just that simple. You know, with iTunes, I would have to go through all of the, you know, hoops to do it. Even connecting this to the laptop this way is a lot more convenient, in my opinion. I'll show you a bit of a custom firmware here. Let me restart this thing. Okay. Well, I changed the splash screen, and I also have this custom theme, which I think is pretty cool. When you're playing the music, it looks like this. There are different colorways of this theme. So, and there are so many themes for the Rockbox. I'm not even kidding. You can, you know, just go to the website, and it will take some time to go through all of them to figure out which ones you like. Trust me, it's so crazy. For the regular iPod firmware, it's just a plain white thing, which a fun thing is, if you go into the settings and you go to the theme, there's even the theme that looks like the regular iPod, like your iPodClassic looking like theme, you know, and then when it plays, it looks really similar to the original firmware of the iPodClassic. You don't like that? Okay, you can just, you know, go to the settings and pretty much get the iPod video, for example. Okay, now you have your iPod video looking like theme. So that's what I really like about this thing. It's that it's highly customizable right now, and if some components dies on you, you can just buy another one and it's just gonna work. There's no hardware locks or, you know, iCloud locks or stuff like that. Basically, this thing is gonna survive as long as you want it to survive. And that's the beauty of the iPod. Thanks everyone for watching, and see you in the next one.